Good evening. We will cover Chapter 3, which is Information Security Framework. So, the topics are for Information Security Framework, recognize the importance of CIA security model, describe the security objective of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is CIA, discuss why organizations choose to adopt security framework, recognize the value of NIST resources, understand the intent of the ISO, i.e., C27000 series of information security standard, outline the domain of an information security program. So, a metaphor to building a framework, we can think of it as a building. We need to build the foundation, framing, plan to make the building. We need to architect, engineer, design the building. So it's the same way that we design the information security program. So they're segmented into logical and tangible units. These are known as domains. These are associated with designated grouping of related activities, systems, resources. An example is, human resource security management domain includes topics. So that's related to personnel, background checks, confidentiality agreement, and employee training. So there are a number of public and private organizations that develop information security framework. You've heard of ISO, so International Organization for Standardization. I know it's not exactly, but ISO sounds better. So you've heard of these ISO standards. Then you have the NIST, the National Institute of Standard and Technology. So the CIA, as we know, represents confidentiality, integrity, and availability, also known as the CIA triad or the CIA security model. So this is important, one of the most important cybersecurity framework. So you've heard of that most often. So the Federal Information Security Management Act defines the relationship between information security and the CIA. So what do we mean by information security? What do we mean by confidentiality, integrity, and availability? So information security means protecting information and information systems from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, or destruction. So integrity means, guarding against improper modification or destruction to information. Confidentiality means preserving authorized restriction on access and disclosure. So protecting personal privacy and proprietary information. So availability means ensuring timely and reliable access to that information. So on the next slide, on this slide, you can see how it's important, how it's divided up. You have confidentiality, integrity, availability, and then you have information security in the CIA triad. So this is also displayed in your book. So this depends, the CIA triad is dependent on the organization's access to its mission, its services, and regulations on their contractual agreements. Confidentially requires private or confidential information not to be disclosed to unauthorized individuals. So we got examples here. So if you have friends or coworkers, you cannot disclose. Same thing, doctor and patient or lawyer confidentiality. Patient, lawyer, client confidentiality. So and so forth. So these are some good examples here. Then there's the Federal Code 44 USC Section 3542. So it defines confidentiality as, the following, preserving authorized restriction on access and disclosure, including means for protecting personal privacy and proprietary information. So security, as we know, is a multi-layer approach. So there's not just one approach to security. So it's not only the technical aspect, you have to think of it as different layers of security. So you don't want your, health security, private health information, and financial information to be disclosed. So business owners don't want their information to be disclosed. Social security, medical insurance, and so forth, and military secrets. So those have to be, confidential information. So cybercrime, it's a low risk, high reward venture. Great way of making money because of international regulations. There could be low chances of being caught. So criminals exploit weaknesses. They're not always outsiders. They can be insiders, people working in the company. So there's hacktivism. So that combines a hack and activism. That's politics and technology. So they illegally obtain information and make political statements. I'm sure you've heard of these. It's been on the news. So the goal of information security is to protect the information from unauthorized access. So by implementing safeguards and processes, access controls and protections and so forth. So these are some of the definitions. You can take a look at integrity, protecting information processor systems for intentional or accidental unauthorized modification, data integrity. Information and programs are changed only in a specific and authorized manner. System integrity, this is a requirement that the system performs its intended function as it's supposed to. Programming and developing errors, these are called bugs, can range from, small to big. Medical records and health information can be manipulated, and we don't want this to happen, of course. It could be catastrophic to a patient. Availability is important, so we want to make sure we have the data when we need it to authorize users. If we can't access data, we can't do our job. So it's not about just, systems and computers. It's also about information, accessing the information when we need access to it. Service level agreement. So this is a type of agreement between service provider and customers that specifically addressed availability of services. So there's different kind of threats. So natural disasters. We have a lot of natural disasters now. Hardware failure, human errors, denial of service attack. So a big thing is, natural disasters now all over the world. Even an offsite may be affected, your backup. So you have to strategically think of how to get your systems back on. So DDoS attacks, compromising a system, flood of requests coming to shut down the system. So this is kind of a example of a diagram of a DDoS attack. So these are common on healthcare systems and other systems as well. So we were talking about the 5 A's of information security and support of the CIA. So you got accountability, assurance, authentication, authorization, and accounting. So accountability, tracing the source, assurances, making sure the process, policies, and control are used to develop confidence that security measures are working as intended, authentication, so positive identification of the person, authorization, granting users and system a predetermined level, accounting, the logging of access and uses of information. So who is responsible for CIA? So that's the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So we've got the FISMA Act of 2002. So information owner is an official with the statutory or operational authority for specific information and responsibility for establishing the criteria for its creation, collection, and processing, dissemination, or disposal. So the information owner has authority and responsibility of what to do with information, destroying it or protecting it. Banking information, bank loan information on customers, loans, and so forth. IT and IS departments are also considered the information owners. There are a lot of people that maintain these systems. So they are known as the information custodians. So they're known as administrator, webmasters, and network engineers. Security framework, collection of guidance on topics related to system security. So NIST, we had talked about an ISO, International Standard Organization, or International Organization of Standards. Either way, I think it's ISO is most common and NIST is most commonly known. So you've got the non-regulatory federal agencies, so Department of U.S. Commerce Department, Technology Administration. So NIST develops different kinds of standards to improve protecting of information, measurement standards, technology, trade, improve the quality of life overall. So these are some of the missions of the NIST. Raising awareness of IT risks, researching, studying, and advising agencies of IT vulnerabilities, developing standards, metric testing and validation, guidance. So basically bringing awareness. So protecting of information. ISO, it's a national standard in 146 countries. One delegate, so it's founded quite some time ago after World War III. So this is a non-governmental organizations. So they are mostly from the private sector. So they also implement recommendation, operating, monitoring, reviewing, maintaining of information security. So you may hear about, ISO standards for this, ISO standard for that. So the website is iso.org. You can go to that website to find out more information. Different ISO frameworks. So yes, you can use both to build a framework or take certain amounts, certain components from one framework to the other. So these are specific frameworks for ISO. I'm not going to go into them in detail. You can read through these different kinds of ISOs that are here. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. I know I don't want to make these videos too long, just keep them short, and you can read the information in more detail in the lecture notes. Thank you.